And welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk with KP. It's September 11th, 2019. Today is a day of remembrance for many people in this country, for many people around the world. It is a day that our first responders responded like they had not in recent times, like they had never before. Many of them still suffering to this day from the illnesses and injuries that they received that day, responding at the Pentagon, responding at the World Trade Center, responding in Pennsylvania. And for those who lost their lives that day, many of us mourn, many of us remember, many of us can tell the stories of where we were that morning when we found out what was going on. It instilled many emotions, it has instilled memories and thoughts and feelings that will continue on for as long as those who witnessed are around. It's definitely a dark spot in the history of this country. And something we're still hopefully going to be able to recover from and not live in fear from and not be prejudiced against others because of. But something we can grow and learn and become better from. That should be the hope. That should be the want. That should be the wish. That should be the goal. That should be the plan. That should be the direction we are moving in. Not building bubbles, not building walls, not being scared, not separating ourselves because somebody might be different or think something else than me. That kind of behavior is what led to the tragic events in 2001. So a moment of silence for those who gave their lives, who lost their lives. That being said, this is a sports show. We've got other things to talk about than the remembrance and politics, even though sometimes we'll go in there, we'll use the platform, we'll get the opinions out, we'll get some information out there. That's not what today's show's about. Today we're going to talk about some of the most embarrassing games, college and NFL, that I watched or checked out over the weekend. We'll talk about my thoughts and wrap up kind of week one. I'm going to make my week two picks today, get them in before the Thursday night game. I did get 10 out of 16 games. In my Pick'em League, I get 10 out of 15 because they don't count ties. So luckily, since, my favorite team, the Lions, went out and laid an egg after having an 18-point fourth quarter lead and ending up with a 27-27 tie to a rookie quarterback, I guess that means next year the Lions are going to be ready to beat a rookie quarterback in week one. Last year we lost to the rookie quarterback. This year we tied the rookie quarterback. So on that trajectory, next year, week one, we should be able to beat a rookie quarterback. But we'll wrap up week one. We're going to do week two picks. Of course, we got to talk about this AB situation. More stuff coming down with AB since the last time we talked. I don't have a Why I Love Sports number 6 today. We'll have Why I Love Sports number 6 next time we talk this coming weekend. So we'll get into most embarrassing games over the weekend first. Let's do that for the first topic today. We'll start with college games. We'll move into the NFL games after that. But as a kid, I loved going to this game. My grandfather had season tickets to the CU Buffs. He had season tickets to the Air Force Falcons. So I got to go to a lot of really cool games as a kid. I saw Air Force Notre Dame. I saw CU in Nebraska. I saw CU in Oklahoma State. I got to see Eric Bieniemy play, Rashaan Salam, some of the heydays of the CU teams throughout the 90s, early 2000s. He has since passed, and I don't know what happened to the tickets. I think he gave them up actually before he passed. But as a kid, I always got to go to these games, and I loved the games. CU Nebraska, I think I went to once, because everybody wanted that game, so it was hard for him to decide who he was going to take and things like that. So I looked forward to this rivalry coming back. I was glad they were going to play each other again. As much as Nebraska fits into the Big Ten, to me, they were always one of those original Big 8, Big 12 schools. So I hated seeing them go. I hated seeing them lose some of those connections and rivalries with those other schools. It was great to see, them play Oklahoma and Texas and those types of schools as well. But CU Nebraska is always a big one from Colorado. It's the big collegiate rivalry. States neighbor each other, all those kind of things. Nebraska, for many of the years, has the upper hand on CU. Recent history, not so much. So coming into this game, it was at Folsom Field. The fans were going to be jacked. They were introducing alcohol again to the stadium, which has been banned for years. It had all the upcomings of some kind of an explosive atmosphere. Rivalry, Nebraska fans coming in. You're seeing the videos on the news of the tailgaters and the hordes of people driving in from Nebraska. And then come game day. Here you are at home. You're the CU Buffaloes. You're in Boulder, Colorado. You walk out onto your home field. You look up into the stands, and what do you see? You see nothing but a sea of red in your student section. You see sprinkled in pepper. You see your fans would rather sell their tickets than come out to the game. So at a home game, you're looking at between 50 and 75% of your crowd is there for the other team. The first half of that game, you could not hear a CU fan. All you heard was Nebraska fans cheering while CU was on offense, making no noise while Nebraska was on defense. That is the opposite of what your home stadium is supposed to be. That is embarrassing if you are a CU Buffalo fan. If you walk into that stadium next week when they host the Falcons and all of a sudden you're interested, you're a joke. I hope the other fans notice you, point you out, snicker, and make fun of you for missing out on what ended up being an incredible finish to a really evenly matched two teams in this game. SCU comes back and wins it. Has now beat them 2 years in a row. An amazing game. But nobody got to see it because you'd rather sell your tickets. That's why you're not going to be a top 25 program. You can't get the fans to come to the game. The fans don't want to come to the game. The fans are fair weather. Fair weather fans. We'll come if we feel like it. We'll come when you're doing real good. But when you just beat CSU and then we don't expect you to beat Nebraska, well, maybe we'll find something else to do. That culture, that has to change for CU to become a big program again. You look at the schools that are big programs, they don't have that problem. Alabama doesn't go out and their stadium's full of LSU fans. Tennessee doesn't go out and the stadium's full of Kentucky fans. Not on the home stadium. Notre Dame doesn't go out and the stadium's full of USC Trojan fans, no matter how well any of those fan groups might travel. Embarrassing. Next on the list, Florida State versus University of Louisiana Monroe. Embarrassing for Florida State, for a team, a university, a football program that has been at or near the top of the rankings for decades, since the early 90s, minimum. To have gone through the struggles they have over the past years with the coaching changes they've had over the past few years, since Bowden left, the quarterback issues they've had, to be a program with that name on it. Florida State, the national titles, the players they've had that have gone on to the NFL to have Hall of Fame careers, to have to come back and barely squeak by Louisiana Monroe? Embarrassing. They have to restore their football culture. They cannot just be a party school. Next on the list, last college game, then we'll get to some NFL games. Michigan versus Army. Michigan should be embarrassed. Nothing against Army. You played your heart out. You did great. You probably should have won that game with the way Michigan played. I don't know what John Harbaugh's doing up there. Pattinson's not getting it done at quarterback. It may be time to see what Dylan McCaffrey can do. But again, here's a program in Michigan that has been to the highest of heights, that is considered, gets to be ranked in the top 10 preseason, is 8th coming into this game because of the respect they have for the coach, the type of talent everybody thinks they have, the conference that they play in. And you get lucky to beat Army, who doesn't have the top recruits, who basically scrapes the barrel and gets guys that, yeah, they could be great football players, but that's not their goal in life. They want to be in the military. They wanted a free education. They wanted to serve. They wanted to protect, whatever their reasons are. Athletics is just something they also do and might be good at. That's who goes to Army. Those 5-star athletes don't end up at the military schools, the Ivy League schools. Michigan gets 5-star recruits. Embarrassing. Going to the NFL. Let's start with the big elephant in the room of the game this weekend. Baltimore and Miami. Everybody's been talking about Miami's tanking. They're trading off all their talent. They're retooling. They don't want to lose. They understand it might happen with the plan that they've set in motion. But they had to recoup some money. They had to recoup some picks. They're going to have to get younger. They're going to have to go through some tribulation because it's been a poorly run ball club. They've made bad contract signings, bad free agent signings. They had to let Sue go because they paid him so much. And it wasn't turning into playoff. It wasn't turning in division titles to do that. They haven't built a team there, and I think that's what they're trying to do with Brian Flores now. They're like, okay, we're going to start over. We're retooling. Doesn't mean we're tanking. We're not intentionally trying to lose. We're intentionally trying to set ourselves up for the future. And we would like to win this year. We understand that might not happen, but our goal is not to lose. But you come into this game after getting rid of all your talent, scrapping this, scrapping that, trading left tackles, trading starting receivers, and you lose 55-10, only because Baltimore basically took it easy on you at some point. They could have had 60, 70 points if they would have just been like, you know what? Here we go. Let's see what happens. Let's see if they'll stop us. Let's continue to throw the ball deep. Let's get Hollywood Brown the ball again. Let's get him, 8 catches instead of 4. So embarrassing that it's being reported that multiple players on the Dolphins called their agents afterwards saying, I want to be traded. Get me out of this dumpster fire. I'm not doing this all year. This is not what I contractually agreed to. Not why I came to the Dolphins. Embarrassing for Miami. Great for Baltimore. They look great, but face it, you're facing a JV team. You're going to have to come out and prove you can put up 30 on somebody who's got a squad. Detroit, my favorite team. Ride or die. Embarrassing. Stafford was efficient, 385 yards passing, third over the weekend, behind two guys nobody expected to get 400 in Dak Prescott and Andy Dalton. Running game was okay. Defense was good in the first three quarters. They made Kyler Murray struggle. They were shutting, shorter drives. Gave up some yards, not a lot of points. Got an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter, 24-6. Then Larry Fitzgerald said, "Hey guys, watch this." And Larry Fitzgerald took over that game. He had big play after big play. He put them in position for scores. Kyler Murray got some space. He has a quick release. I think he's going to be fine in the NFL. It's going to be tough for him. He's going to have a lot of batted passes. But you build that team around him, I think he's going to be okay. I don't think he's going to be an all-pro. I don't think he's going to tear the league up. He's not going to be the next Michael Vick. He has some traits of a Patrick Mahomes. But when your linemen are 6'8" and you're 5'9", 5'10", that is going to change your throwing lanes. It's going to change how you're going to have to play and how the offense is going to have to run. David Johnson looked okay. He's still not the back that burst on the scene a couple years ago before the injury. Christian Kirk didn't do much for Arizona. I mean, Arizona should have lost that game. But Detroit found a way to tie. Embarrassing. Rookie quarterback again, week 1, Detroit. And I love you. That's my team. You were tattooed on my body. But that was embarrassing. New England and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I don't know what's wrong with Pittsburgh. They have 1 or 2 of these games a year where it's like everything looks horrible. They can't play. They lose by a ton of points. And then the next week they generally bounce back and it's like, okay, there's Pittsburgh. Or 2 weeks later they dominate somebody. It's like, all right, that's the Steelers we all knew. See, they're fine. They had a hiccup. You're on Sunday Night Football, week 1. The storyline about you has been Le'Veon Bell's gone, Antonio Brown's gone. And you did not come prepared to play. The Patriots surgically took you apart. They beat you by 30 points. They made it look like they were ready without Antonio Brown to go ahead and claim another title this year. I picked them to win their division just last week before the game started. So that was embarrassing for Pittsburgh. But again, they have 1 or 2 of these games a year, it seems like, and one seems to be early, and then one will be a little bit later in the year, where they lose by upwards of 30 points. And then Swag Pound. All that damn talent the Cleveland Browns have. And they came out unfocused, sloppy, making mistakes, wearing wristwatches, playing no defense, getting burnt in the secondary, giving up pick sixes, throwing 3 picks. Just looked bad. Like they expected everybody to go, whoa, that team's got talent. We can't play against them. Like they were just going to walk in and it was going to be given to them. I didn't see as much hustle out of that team. I didn't see them making the same plays that they even made last year where they were at 7-8-1 and they improved in the second half of the season. And that's what gave everybody this idea. Okay, they're arriving. Then you bring in an Odell Beckham. It's like, okay, they've arrived and now they've got loads of talent. You've got all those young studs running around on the defensive side. But it was not put together week 1 against the Tennessee Titans. A team that talent-wise is not on the same level, but completely outplayed them, completely outcoached them, out-hustled them, outworked them, outwanted them, and left them looking like, bitter teenagers at the end where it was like, okay, now everybody's going to call us trash and we're going to bounce back and be fine. No. That's going to happen regardless when you go throw a performance like that and you're a favorite. It's not everybody in the world against the Cleveland Browns. Against Swag Pound. You had a hiccup. You didn't make no corrections. You got embarrassed. Make corrections. Move forward. Don't act like it was somebody else's problem. Embarrassing. So let's wrap up week 1. We had some embarrassing games in college and the NFL. But Packers-Bears was not a great start. I expect different teams out of both of them this week. Christian McCaffrey went off for the Panthers. Rams pulled that one out. Eagles, Case Keenum went off for the Redskins in that game, but the Eagles, Deshaun Jackson connection for 154 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and I had him on my bench in Fantasy League because I thought he wasn't going to get as many touches as week 1. That was stupid. Bills come back against the Jets. The Jets fall apart in the second half. They were up 16-0 as well. They had a 16-point lead and blew it in that game. Sam Darnold did not look good at all. Vikings beat up on the Falcons, who looked just sad on both sides of the ball. Not that the Vikings looked great, but they didn't have to do much against that Falcons team. We talked about the Ravens and the Dolphins. The Chiefs-Jaguars. You have the scuffle in the second quarter that gets Miles Jack ejected. Tyreek Hill, he's out 4 to 6 weeks with the sternoclavicle issue. And I hate to say it, but could that be some karma? You know, you don't wish another athlete injured. But coming off of the offseason he had, his son suffers an arm injury. Nobody can determine who's responsible for. Week 1, he suffers an arm injury that basically sidelines him. It looks like the same amount of time he might have been suspended. Might have been some karma there. A lot of clavicle injuries this week, though. Tyreek Hill had one. On the other side, Nick Foles breaks his. He's out for the year. So there's those 2 clavicle. And then in the Indianapolis game against the Chargers, their receiver they brought in for Funchess, he breaks his. Was it Funchess? The receiver they brought in from Carolina, he breaks his clavicle as well. So a lot of clavicle injuries this weekend. Colts make the Chargers game look interesting. The Chargers almost got on my embarrassing list, but they pulled that one out. They didn't do that Chargers thing where they have in recent years where they make it close and then lose the close game. So kudos to the Chargers for that. Bengals give the Seahawks a scare. Seahawks pull that one out 21-20. 49ers over the Bucks. Not really, I don't think anybody should be surprised there, but Tevin Coleman, he sprains his ankle. A lot of ankle injuries for Tevin Coleman. Could end up drastically shortening his career because he's a talented guy when he's on the field. So we'll see when he gets back how he can fit into that rotation. Cowboys beat up on the Giants. It looked like it was going to be a good game early. Giants just, it's like every time they got close and didn't complete, the Cowboys got close and completed. So talked about the Lions, talked about the Steelers and Patriots. Texans, that's a tough one. That is tough. You get all the way down there against the Saints. You go ahead, touchdown. Put you up by 1 point. Big plays all day long. Not getting a whole lot out of the defense, but enough to keep you in it. And with 37 seconds left, Drew Brees takes him downfield, gets him enough in field goal range that Lutz can kick a career-long 58-yard field goal with no time left on the clock to pull it off 30-28. That one's tough. And I saw it on Deshaun Watson posted today. There was a little girl who was just devastated by it. She was watching the game at home. Her mom videotaped her instead of consoling her and put it on the internet. But Deshaun Watson saw that. He's going to hook her up and, try and make it better and try and, do better next time. And then the Broncos-Raiders game. Broncos look bad. Raiders we thought were going to be bad. Beat up on the Broncos, so maybe they're better than the Broncos. Flacco looked like Flacco. I don't know why everybody here in Denver is so surprised about that performance. They didn't make any adjustments. Vic Fangio's defense didn't make any adjustments. Donatel didn't make adjustments. And they're like, well, they got rid of the ball quick. That limited the pass rush. Great. that doesn't limit the defense. That doesn't limit what you can do on defense. That doesn't eliminate different ways to get pressure. That doesn't eliminate, let's give Isaac Yiadom some help over there. They're not going at Chris Harris. We can double whoever Yiadom's on. We're willing to put Chris on the island. I was not impressed with Kareem Jackson all that much. I mean, decent tackling. When he went to make a tackle, he didn't, miss and let the guy get extra yardage. Tackled forward sometimes. But the offense wasn't great. They're still trying to use Phillip Rivers not like a weapon, but like a traditional running back. Not a great debut for the offensive coordinator, Rick Scangarello. Bad performance for the Broncos. They probably should have been on the embarrassing list, but I put it together before their game started. So that brings us to week 2. Week 2 picks. Starting to get a feel for the teams a little bit. You think you got an idea based on talent, based on maybe some preseason plays. Week 1, you get a little bit more of a feel. What kind of heart? What kind of toughness? How well is this team put together right now? Are they clicking in any way? Are they in sync? Does it look like they have some rhythm? Helps you make your picks a little better in week 2, as each additional week kind of does. You're always going to have upsets. I try and pick a couple. But I'm going to take Carolina to beat Tampa Bay. I will take Baltimore to beat Arizona. I think San Francisco gets past Cincinnati, although that one could be close. That could really go either way. I think Detroit is my upset this week. I'm going to take them to beat the Chargers. I think Green Bay gets Minnesota. I'll take Houston over Jacksonville. Quarterback situation hurts. Leonard Fournette was not great week 1. Houston probably wins that division now. I don't see the same tenacity again right now out of that defense that we got out of them a couple years ago. I'll take New England all over Miami. However, if Miami wins that game, that's probably the upset of the century. I will take the Giants over Buffalo. I'll take Pittsburgh to beat Seattle. I think they bounce back after the ass whooping they took from New England. I'll take Indianapolis to beat Tennessee. It's going to be a hard-fought game, but I think Indianapolis wins that one, maybe by a field goal or less. I'll take Dallas over Washington this week. I'll take Kansas City over Oakland. I don't think Oakland's in the same stratosphere as Kansas City right now. I will take Denver over Chicago, but I'm not quite sure why. We'll make that my second upset of the week. I'll take New Orleans over the Rams. I think New Orleans has got a chip on their shoulder, and they're going to come out and try and put it on the Rams, and they might try and put 60 or 70 on the Rams if they can. I think Cleveland gets past the Jets this week. I think they bounce back and have a better game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I do think they beat the Jets. And I will take the Eagles over the Falcons on Sunday night. So those are my picks for week 2. That leaves us with our last topic, something, hey, everybody's talking about it. It's a Antonio Brown show. And on this show, we will talk all things Antonio Brown, tin hat, and factual. So he got himself released. He gets released. He got himself released, however you want to look at it. He's no longer an Oakland Raider. Within a couple hours, he has gone on to sign with the New England Patriots, making everybody out there instantly think this was in the works. Then it starts getting reported New England wanted to trade for Antonio Brown back in March, but the Steelers said no. They were willing to offer a first-round pick for Antonio Brown, and the Steelers took a third and a fifth from Oakland instead. More conspiracy theories, more tin hats coming out. So he gets himself out of Pittsburgh. He's traded to Oakland, where he really doesn't want to be, it seems like now. Looking back at it, doesn't look like he likes the organization, doesn't look like he wants to be there, doesn't look like he likes the offense. Like he's making every little thing as big as it can because he doesn't want to be there. Maybe he burned his feet on purpose in the cryo chamber because everybody wears their gloves and their shoes or boots or whatever when they go in. Who goes in barefoot? And the helmet thing, the practice thing, social media during meetings, all the tablets and phones. We found out he's reached out to a social media guide on how to get released faster. The video of the phone call comes out shortly after the phone call's made. Like all of these production things, all of these character things. It's like a TV drama show. It's not football anymore. Antonio Brown is one of the best receivers to ever, suit up. But the character, whatever this change is that he's gone through, that he keeps referring to, that this is his life and it's not just football, whatever that trip that he's on is going to end up shortening his career and making him known for that and not the football player. But maybe he did sign fast. It does seem like a TV show, which means maybe it was all put in place. Maybe it was predetermined. I mean, Drew, think about it. It's not like Drew Rosenhaus didn't know that the Patriots were going to be involved with Antonio Brown back in March. They heard the trade offer come in. They knew about it. He knew about it. So is it a big surprise that Drew Rosenhaus might instantly reach out to the Patriots and say, hey, my guy's going to be released? Do you still have interest? And that he would go to a team that has a great chance to win a Super Bowl? It's not that big of a surprise. Guys like what we're seeing from AB now have had a history of going to New England and falling in line and doing what they had to do. Because that's what they do there. You either do or you're out the door. And they write your contract in a way that it's not going to hurt their team in any way. So no, I don't think it was premeditated. Especially after the current news comes out. That there's been 3 charges of sexual assault and rape filed against him by his former trainer that New England is claiming they didn't know about. That Drew Rosenhaus was on ESPN today saying it's not true. He denies it, and his lawyers have proof, and they're going to be able to handle the situation. But the former trainer, who's getting married, and everybody wants to go, oh, isn't the timing? Stop victim shaming. If it's true, they can come forward whenever they damn well feel comfortable. And maybe now she feels comfortable because she's getting married. So she feels secure and safe again. We don't know. What we do know is that the allegations are out there. Now, personally, I think allegations like this put you on an exemption list. And that is a possibility in this situation. We can't have you out there playing, participating, representing the club and the league if this is the truth. So until due diligence has been done, you're on the exempt list. We'll have to see. This situation is getting ridiculous. It's crazy. It's hard to believe at times that this rising star of a football player has now become more known for drama and antics and videos and YouTube and being Antonio Brown than what got him there and what he loves and what he worked hard to do. And the bad decisions and the peering into his life and the optics, you brought it on yourself. You chose a profession that comes with it. You've made choices and actions that have brought it about. It doesn't look good for you right now. I still am wondering if there's something to do with some kind of mental health that he's not even aware of. Maybe CTE related. I know a lot of people put out the image of Vontaze Burfict hit him in the head and saying everything changed for him after this hit. And maybe it did. Maybe it was like, maybe that's why he's so, it's my life. It's not just football. And maybe that did send him down this path. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I'm going to try not to judge. It doesn't look good. I personally would not want that around me, if that's all true and accurate, but we'll continue to follow it. We'll continue to see. And really, real, we just got to hope the best for everybody in this situation, whether it's the woman who filed the charges, whether it's Antonio Brown and his well-being, the New England Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Oakland Raiders. Excuse me. Antonio's kids, his loved ones. I mean, this goes deep as to how many people are affected by this. Let's just hope the best for them. Let's hope everybody gets what they need moving forward. And until next time, you know how we do. Just be real.